It's another edition of WRAL Triangle of Two. I'm Mark Bergin. He's Pat Welter. And Pat, we're coming off Battle of the Blues, Duke, UNC. UNC losing the entire game. Seth Trimble's three late secures the win for the Tar Heels. There's a court storming. UNC gets a $50,000 fine. Jon Scheyer met with media members on Monday. It is now Tuesday. Both teams will play again tonight in separate games. But where does this stand right now coming off a historic game?
This is what I think, this is what I know from talking to people as well, is that Duke and UNC both want this story to just go away. But the fans will not let it happen. I mean, my social media has been going absolutely off in the mentions in a way that I didn't necessarily see coming. Right? Like Jon Scheyer comes out after the game and, a play maybe straight out of the Coach K playbook flips the script. Right, like this story should have been about the Seth Trimble game winner and Duke potentially collapsing again in the final moments of a big game. Jon Scheyer flips it to be about the court storm, his staff safety, his family safety. Now, obviously, you want the players to be safe. Obviously, you want Scheyer and his family to be safe. But now we've got a little bit of a he said, she said. Define the word punch. Define the word trample. Prove it to me with the video. And this is lesson number 500,672. Never underestimate the triangle and its rivalries. Because I can't tell you how many times I cover a game thinking the story is one thing, and then some little minute detail emerges, whether it's something in the handshake line with an assistant coach or something a fan said or did that becomes the story, and that's what we have here right now after this crazy Duke-UNC game.
So on Monday, Jon Scheyer spoke with media members saying that one of his coaches was shaken and even bloodied. He didn't specify which coach he was talking about. He also wasn't asked which coach it was. I'm sure it was a question he didn't want to answer, and I got the sense that he wanted to move on, but what comes of all of this, of the footage that you've seen, Pat, of just where this goes from here? Because we're talking about another court storming situation where just 2 seasons ago, Kyle Filipowski, Duke on the road, was actually injured in a court storming incident. But just where does this go from here?
Right, like Duke and Scheyer are particularly triggered by court storming, right? And you nailed it right there. The Kyle Filipowski situation at Wake Forest, February 2024. Wake upsets Duke. Huge upset, huge win for Wake, probably the biggest win Wake Forest has had under Steve Forbes. And what happens there is that Filipowski gets his knee kind of buckled. And at that season, Filipowski was Duke's best player. So Scheyer was right to come out and be upset about this. Like, players have to be able to safely get off the court. And he got stuck in the middle of the court. So that prompts the ACC and Jim Phillips to enact what has been known as the Filipowski rule, where a policy gets enacted. It started this summer where teams are fined $50, $100, or $200K in escalating fines through the concept of 2 seasons. And from Phillips, the plan was to allow spectators can still access the competition area following a contest, but only after the visiting team and officials have safely exited the area, which is easier said than done. So they weren't trying to eviscerate court storming entirely because it is kind of woven into the fabric of college sports, but they wanted to make sure teams got off the court safely. And UNC, in their own statement, first Bubba Cunningham comes out, apologizes to Duke.
In the immediate aftermath of the game. I've never seen that before in my career where an AD speaks immediately after a game, Pat.
Totally. And it was a classy move by Bubba Cunningham there. He's trying to get ahead of it a little bit. And then as this blows up, they're basically released a statement following the fine. And they say that, we accept the fine, but the video they've reviewed confirms they followed their protocols to get Duke's players and bench personnel off the floor safely. And look, I was there. I was in the middle of it.
Okay, I was going to ask, where were you when all of this was going down, Pat?
So there was not one, but 2 court storms.
Correct, because Seth Trimble hits the 3, 0.04 seconds. I'm in the WRAL newsroom, Pat. As soon as I saw, I was like, okay, a few people are out on Franklin Street, and then 1 becomes a dozen, becomes 2 dozen. I sent the push alert on the phone, and then it was like, no, we have to get all the fans off the court in 0.4 seconds left. And I'm like, oh, man, I've already sent the alert out on the WRAL app. It can't go back saying UNC's already won the game. The only scenario I could envision was that Derek Fisher playoff game against the Spurs. Now, the difference is in the NBA, when you call a timeout, you can advance the ball to half court versus in college, you still have to go the full length of the floor. So it was like, barring a foul of some sort where a Duke player would get 3 free throws, it was like, okay.
Right.
I'm not going to say it was impossible, but it was impossible, Pat.
Yeah.
So I'm in the newsroom sweating it out for 30 seconds being like, man, this game's not over. Because, again, I saw all the fans rush out onto Franklin Street that were out in downtown Chapel Hill, but then also the fans that had stormed the court at the Dean Smith Center as well. So that was my experience. But so you were in the middle of all this twice.
Yeah, twice, because they stormed the court. And the buzzer sounded, so it's not like the students did necessarily the wrong thing. And for anyone out there that thinks, oh, you shouldn't have court stormed, put yourself in that situation.
Oh, if you're a student, did you ever have the opportunity during your undergrad to do it? It's an amazing, amazing experience. I got to twice for football when I was an undergrad at the University of Missouri. This is some of my best memories were both of the times we got to do that.
Yeah, for me, I went to a smaller school, Providence College, Big East, and I was chasing my career during the biggest win in my school's history, or my history while I was there. Providence upset Pitt, who was number 1 at the time. I was doing a stand-up comedy act during the thing.
Wow.
Wow. A dream that has fallen on the vine. Hopefully people can laugh at some of my jokes still here on the podcast. But yeah, it's an incredible thing to do. And yeah, I get it. Like, UNC and Duke is your rival. Like, you should be viewed as equals. But it's the emotion of the moment. It's a game winner in historic rivalry. So yeah, I don't blame the students for court storming once. They get 2 for the price of 1. And yeah, I'm out there the first time, and I've got a big camera on my shoulder. So basically, this happened to me Syracuse Pitt one time too, where I was worried students, first one in my career, were going to trample me. Because when you film the game, you're sitting on the ground.
Right on the baseline.
Right? So you've got people behind you ready to pounce. And that's a little bit of a scary feeling. I remember that first one I experienced in a Syracuse versus Pitt game. So in this one, like, I was safely able to get up out of my crouch or my kind of crisscross stance on the ground and run into the action. And I've been through enough of these where I am conscious of, like, you don't want to get stuck in the middle to where you can't get out, which has happened in football games. I've been at Ohio State, Penn State, the year that Penn State got left out of the college football playoffs, Saquon Barkley. I got stuck in the middle of the crowd. Couldn't get out. You're trying to go get into the post-game press conference, and you're just you can't move. 100,000 people in that stadium. So I'm conscious of that. I'm also conscious of, like, head on a swivel. People are coming from all different directions. They're jumping up and down. They're bouncing. It is a little bit scary. So I was trying to take out my cell phone to film on that to get the immediately video out on Twitter and Instagram.
While protecting your camera.
While protecting my other camera on my other big shoulder. And immediately I bail on that plan. That phone goes back in the pocket because I'm getting my camera knocked off my shoulder. And I see Cameron Boozer towering over the crowd up against one of the baskets, soaking it in, making those mental notes. He's able to kind of safely clear the court as they announce over the loudspeaker, students, please get off the court. There's 0.4 seconds remaining.
Because they could have gotten called for a technical for that as well.
Which would have been insane, right?
Can you imagine?
Then we really would have had a story. So the right call to just kind of, let's be real. Let's understand the context of the situation. And yeah, Bubba Cunningham is out there on the court. Steve Newmark is out there on the court. They're kind of taking it in, trying to clear stuff off. Cunningham's literally picking up trash off of the court. And yeah, then they storm again. And this is where, unclear to me exactly where the incident potentially happened with the, quote, staff member. And I think, like, could I maybe find out who the staff member was? And I don't actually know. But I think people that do know, there's a reason to not release the name, right? Because if you did, and they might find out, because if this guy has a black eye and a bloody lip to what Scheyer has said, we might be able to pick that out, or internet sleuths will probably pick it out on the sidelines at Duke's next game.
If they haven't already.
They haven't already. But, people get kind of scary now, like attacking people. So, protect this person's identity. And there's, in the world we live in, it's a crazy world. So there's a reason not to release the name. But here's where we're at, I think, Mark, overall with this story. Scheyer comes out after the game, says, quote, I got staff members punched in the face, plural. Okay? We've already pulled that back to one staff member. Now, I don't blame Scheyer for in the moment, he's emotional. He said his family was having trouble get off there. I mean, you're talking about your wife being in danger. Like, of course.
Your biggest rival, you're winning the entire game as well. I mean, highly charged game in terms of everything that you've put into it in preparation and that night as well.
Totally. So what I think would happen, Sheyer's emotional after the game. He doesn't even have all the facts straight. It just happened, right? So he says punched, right? Okay, well, is that a figure of speech or was it literal? And I am led to believe, based on what I know, what I've seen, I was there, people I've talked to, no punch, no quote-unquote punch was ever thrown. I think the word trampled is also in the eye of the beholder. Because what we have here is we live in a world where everybody is filming this moment.
There's cameras everywhere, literally everywhere, Pat.
And I used to think, like, in these moments...
I mean, think about how many different angles we saw of Seth Trimble's shot alone.
100%, right? And they're filming, not just because of the court storm, they're filming because they know there's a possible chance at a buzzer beater in this moment. So they're filming the buzzer beater, and then they're filming the final 0.4 seconds. And I used to think, why are you filming? Who cares what your stupid cell phone video looks like? That was 10 years ago. Now this is just currency for social media, so I get it.
I mean, if you talk about the Franklin Street camera that we had, it might be a million video views at this point. I know It's around 900,000. We had Carlisle, who's a UNC alum, works with us, coworker of ours, Pat. She got us video very quickly of Seth Trimble's shot. We posted that on our Facebook page. 250,000 views of that shot alone, just of her vantage point that we posted in real time. And that's just one platform we have here, Pat, of let's get this video as quickly in as many different places as possible. So you're exactly right about that. You're spot on. Here's the thing where I'm at with Scheyer. So in the aftermath of the game, this was his direct quote. He says, they won, they should celebrate. They want to court storm. But just let's get our guys off safely. That's it. That's where I'm at with that. End quote. I'm fine with that. But then after the 2024 incident, just 2 years ago, Pat, when Kyle Filipowski got hurt, he outright asked, quote, when are we going to ban court storming, end quote. So maybe the change in his view is how the ACC has a new policy. But to me, I'm like, wait a second, how the story has changed. 2 years ago, he wanted to ban it outright. Now he's saying he at least understands it. So it's like, which is it?
Right. And they're always on the wrong end of it, right? Like, teams always court storm on Duke.
That's fair.
So I get his frustration, but he's had a couple opportunities here to pull back his language. And maybe he's caught, right? Because he doesn't want to, everyone on social media is saying, Scheyer lied. I think it's just a figure of speech, punched, trampled. But he did have an opportunity Monday where he gets asked about it. He indicates that the staff member is fine, that he had a bloody lip, was disheveled, said that person didn't know what happened, said they were trampled on the floor. So even that person's own narrative of their own story is slightly unreliable here. I mean, this is like the famous film Rashomon, where you get all the different views of the same incident and the truth gets mixed up.
I understand the sentiment. I understand even on the Monday after Saturday night's game, it's your biggest rival. It can't be fun to where you're winning the whole game. I was very surprised. I have to be candid with people, and maybe I'm getting too in the weeds here, Pat. I was surprised there wasn't a single reporter to ask him, oh, well, which staff member was it? And let him answer that question however he wants to. Yeah. I was surprised about that.
And again, I think he wouldn't say the name to protect the person's identity.
I would let him do that, though.
Sure. That's our job, right? That's bad on us.
No one asked him that.
No one did. Now, Shelby Swanson, News and Observer, did ask him to clarify, about the punch. So that was the one guy who got punched. This was on Monday. That was Scheyer's chance to pull back on the punch because it seemed like he was, in his first answer on Monday, Connor O'Neill asked him about it. It seemed like he wasn't indicating that there was a punch, and then Shelby asked him to clarify, and he goes, yeah, that was the one that got punched. So again, I don't think Scheyer is lying here. I think he's got caught a little bit in his words. He's still upset about the loss, but ultimately I do think both schools want this to go away. And after talking to people and through my own logic, there is no video evidence of a punch. It is not out there. If it is, please bring it forward. but it is not currently available, I think, to the people that need it. There is no necessarily evidence of a quote-unquote trampling. There is video of somebody falling down and getting up, of a staff member of Duke. That, to my understanding, is something that is available, but I think both sides want this to go away. The fans will not let it happen. No charges are going to be filed here. And adding just extra fuel to the fire, Orange County DA Jeff Neiman, who is a UNC alum, if I have this correctly, he comes out and tweets that, hey, if there's video evidence, we'll prosecute and we will charge. Now, he's actually being, I think, kind of sarcastic in that tweet, and I think some fans took it the wrong way.
That, or I would say is, I don't know this. I would have to research this. I'm sorry. It's like, is he up for election? Yeah. You know, that's the first thing that goes on in my brain. Sorry, Pat, go ahead.
Yeah, so you get that in it. I mean, I've talked to police that were there at the event. I'm like, is there any charges pending? No, there's not. So, ultimately, this is just going to be another chapter in this rivalry. It's unfortunate that this happened to this staff member. It's unfortunate that Scheyer had to fear for his own family's safety and well-being, and that they always end up being on the wrong side of this. But ultimately, as much as we lose the fabric of college sports and what makes it great, court storming is still a piece of that. And so it's like, do we really want to make this into we never get to court storm again? I mean, I guess it's that saying, it's all fun and games until someone gets hurt. I mean, someone could truly get trampled and potentially die in a court storm. It could happen. I acknowledge that. Or
a field storm of football, yeah. I mean,
you could also say the same thing about like so many things in life. Like, are you going to drive a car? Are you going to drive in a snowstorm? Or are you going to you know what I mean? Like, you can make that argument, like, oh, well, somebody could die. Well, like, you can kind of do that in a lot of different avenues. So, like, do we want to have this or do we not? I think most of us still want to have this practice.
I also think in Duke's argument, it would be like, wait a second, UNC, you're at home. Aren't you a blue blood as well? So if you're a Duke fan, there's also that wrinkle to it as well, Pat, of like, UNC should expect to win this game. But, like, even if you were, I mean, Pat, going in, both of our sentiments, it was like Duke was favored for a reason, and the Blue Devils controlled most of the game that Saturday night. And here's the thing. I'm not trying to wish my life away. We get to do it all over again on March the 7th to close out the season at Cameron Indoor Stadium, Pat.
And this raises an interesting thought experiment I've had, because now we have, I was really hard on Hubert Davis after the Cal loss because of his pattern, right? Of his team repeatedly underperforming relative to talent, not kind of like being a disconnect between the way Hubert preaches energy, effort, and the Carolina way, and his team repeatedly not seeming to match their coach's personality. And the Cal Stanford loss coming off the heels of the SMU loss was like the low point of like, wow, there really is a disconnect here with this team that is maybe the most talented he's had is underperforming maybe the most of any team he's had, at least since Caleb Love, the sequel. Well, that team has responded since, and they win this big game. They win at Virginia. They win versus Duke in a game they trailed the whole time, but most important thing, they won. So I'm looking at this and I'm like, well, for all the warts that there are under Hubert Davis, and there are many, missing the tournament, almost missing the tournament last year, maybe that first Final Four run, a national championship run being a fluke, all that beside itself, the guy wins big games. He beat Coach K in the final game at Cameron. He beat Coach K in the Final Four. Now, I would take Scheyer's resume, I think still, 6 ways from Sunday, but we have a pattern emerging here with him. Is it sample size? A part of me is just being a little facetious here and pointing it out. But we have a second-round exit now to Tennessee.
Okay. Now I've got the results here in front of me too, but
we have an Elite Eight loss to NC State.
Further in the tournament, though, yes?
Yes, but an NC State team that shouldn't have even been in the tournament,
okay, barring
their incredible ACC run. And then last year we have this collapse versus Houston in, yes, the Final Four, but
further. Hey, it's further in the tournament.
You could argue Final Four was Final Four or bust with Cooper Flagg, which is why at the time I said that season was a failure because of how they collapsed, who they had, the expectations on that team. And now we have here yet again this season, a collapse versus Texas Tech in a huge neutral site game. And I wouldn't call this game versus UNC a collapse, but I would call it a lack of, well, UNC was the more clutch team. They hit the final threes of the game. Henry Vasar, Derek Dixon, Seth Trimble, Cameron Boozer misses the shot. So we have a pattern here of Scheyer failing in some of these big games. Now, it's a very small sample size, but there's something to this. So I raised the question, who would you rather have?
Yeah,
Hubert Davis
I've
or
got
Jon
the
Scheyer?
records in front of me. Scheyer's won roughly 82% of his games. That's both overall and in ACC play. Hubert Davis, about 71% of his just the regular games, and then 70% of his ACC games. But, Pat, it's an interesting argument. I still think I would take Scheyer. I would. But I get your point in terms of what we've seen in recent memory, the last year or two in big games. I think you laid it out very well.
Now,
I do.
I would take Scheyer too, and I'm not saying I wouldn't. I think this is a product of like a lot of things. Like Hubert Davis and his strengths are the emotion. So there is something to, he comes out and says every game is the same, but the way he actually is as a person and the way he's able to tap into motivational edges and the history and preaching energy, effort, and toughness and defense, it lends itself, I think, to big games. Scheyer, on the other hand, and maybe a lack of consistency in the rest of them. And there's other coaches that have this kind of pattern, like Dave Dorn is that kind of coach. Great in big games, and then not as great, and like the kind of like randomly will lose to Boston College. James Franklin, a little bit more in the Jon Scheyer camp, where he runs this consistently great program, but then for whatever reason, there's a lack of translating into some of the big games.
I want to see if these storylines of where they've been to coaches and how their teams have performed to this point in their respective coaching careers at both institutions, if that holds true as we get into March here. It's just going to be a few weeks away. I mean, like, February is almost, we're almost midway through February, and it's like as soon as football is over, it's just like we're full on into basketball season. And honestly, what a great game in advance of the Super Bowl. I mean, you go from Saturday night, which was just, I mean, a classic. I mean, I know it got a lot of comparisons to the Austin Rivers shot. The other comparison I was seeing online was the Luke May shot in the Elite Eight against Kentucky. But this one's going down there all time when you talk about the back and forth with this rivalry of like, I mean, I think you and Chris Lee nailed it in your post-game analysis from the baseline here on Triangle and Two of Seth Trimble never needs to buy a beer in Chapel Hill ever again for how, like the entire game. It was the first lead they had the entire game. There was 0.4 seconds left, and they came back and won. It was incredible.
And it's just part of sports, right? Like Josh Allen, for example. Like this guy's the best quarterback in the league, but he hasn't won the big one. And all it takes is one to change the narrative. And all it takes is one shot to change your entire legacy. Like Seth Trimble's whole life is different now because of that shot.
And I think about him coming back from the forearm injury where he missed month and a half of the season with that weight room accident too, Pat. So,
and for Jon Scheyer, like I think he will win a national championship. It's a product of like when Will Wade was hired, he talked about this. Like there's a randomness to the tournament. All you could do is get yourself into the mix, and then 1 year it's going to break your way. Like that's the analytical view. Now there is like the other view of like, is there something into the fabric of a style of coaching, a style of playing? Like if you look at Josh Allen, is there something there mentally? Is there something there mentally with Scheyer and the way he prepares his teams for these big games? I think it's just the fact that Duke gets everybody's best shot. They're the front runner. Like Scheyer does everything possible to run that program as effectively and efficiently and holistically in really every way possible. And I know he was like really distraught after the Houston loss this offseason, like examining it, rewatching it, trying to figure out what went wrong. And I can empathize with that feeling. And so I think he's going to get it done. But like this is sports where like these are the fun conversations you get to have. And like I am somebody that thinks Josh Allen is a great quarterback. I think that Jon Scheyer is an amazing coach. But like until you win the big one, we are left with this vacuum to wonder, is there something missing?
His trajectory tells me he would get into the national championship game, Pat, and then fall short, just based on how he's trended from Year 1 as a coach, now into year 4.
Well, I called out Hubert Davis after the Cal loss. They have not lost since. So here I am calling out Jon Scheyer for, I guess, the second time now. I called him out after the Houston game. And I love Jon Scheyer. Like, again, let me be clear. Like, the way he treats people, the way he treats media, the way he treats his players. Like, I had the opportunity to cover Coach K's Hall of Fame ceremony in Chicago. And there was like a little mixer, like an open bar and like some food. And I got to go up to, I felt like I was in a movie. Like Jon Scheyer's up standing there. I get in a window to go talk to him, introduce myself, maybe recognize my face from the press conferences, but we never had like a one-on-one time. He sat and talked to me for about 5 minutes. We're about the same age. I was in college when he was playing in college, and we talked about that. We both have kids around the same age. We're talking like we're regular guys, like treating me like an equal. I appreciate that. Hubert Davis at times, I'm at way more UNC events.
Okay. He
will look straight through me, like that's he keeps the media at an arm's length.
Sure.
And I, every coach has their approach, and I don't, begrudge Hubert Davis necessarily for that. I'd appreciate maybe a little bit more engendering given how much we're at the facility, but I get it. So like, I really love and respect Scheyer. It's a fun conversation to have. And again, you're welcome. You're going to win the national title now, Duke. I just set it into motion.
You heard it here from Pat Welter. Pat, I mean, Scheyer was a heck of a player too.
Yeah.
I mean, he was, I remember as a McDonald's All-American, this was pre-Derrick Rose. And as a player, he had 21 points in 75 seconds in a high school game. Try to do that in a video game, let alone in real life. I mean, he was a terrific player. Recruits best of the best, too.
Yep.
So, I mean, each and every year it's like, oh, well, Cooper Flagg and Con Knipple are now in the NBA, and it's like they haven't really missed much of a beat. I did think it was telling. They did not fall at all in the AP Top 25. They stay at number 4 after the loss on Saturday. But we'll see how they regroup. UNC takes on Miami tonight on Tuesday. By the time you're listening to this, you might already know the outcome. Duke takes on Pittsburgh on the road. Both of those games can be on ESPN on Tuesday night, just depending on when you're listening to this, Pat. But we'll see how they regroup. And again, March 7th, I said this before they played the first go-round. I hope we get this multiple times, and I mean more than 2. It's like, could we get it in the ACC tournament? And then I know they've only met in the NCAA tournament back in 2022 in the Final Four, but it seems like this always delivers. It seems like it always delivers. I know last year was a bit of a shellacking, but man, it's a reason why you throw out the records in the Battle of the Blues. It was just like this one. In some ways, I think this was even crazier than last year's Final Four game for Duke, and then even in 2022, the Final Four, just because it literally came down to the final seconds of the game of just everything that unfolded.
Yeah, I mean, Caleb Love's shot is something I'll never forget. I mean, it wasn't a buzzer beater, but the stones it took to take and make that shot over Mark Williams and the image, incredible. And the stakes at play. Like that one ultimately, like when you step back from this, is the one still for me.
Okay.
But
in terms of how you rank it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just an unbelievable game. And I loved watching Caleb Love. And some of those highlights came back up again. And I know he's polarizing for UNC fans, but like he was clutch. And that was something that I think this UNC team has been waiting for that to step up for, right? Like this team is more talented than that team. But like Love had that X factor. He could play in out of games, he could win you games. And now I think UNC has something here where like Derek Dixon is a clutch player. He had a huge step back against Kentucky.
And he was the one who created the shot opportunity for Trimble on the drive and dish.
Which was an improvised. It wasn't the play call. The look wasn't there. He has to improvise in the moment as a true freshman. Thread that pass. Like I was looking at the photos in slow motion next to one of the photographers, Robert from the News and Observer, and we're going through frame by frame. It's like, how did he get this ball through, I think it's Caleb Foster's hands, out to Trimble in the corner? So he's clutch. Now Trimble has this moment, and Caleb Wilson was the better player versus Cameron Boozer in the game.
Especially in the first half.
Yes.
I thought in the first half, Wilson really carried UNC and kept them in the game because other than him, there's one other player who escapes me right now, Pat, but it was like him and one other player for UNC in the first half, and then it was just like then in the second half,
stepped up.
Yeah, everyone else kind of contributed.
Yeah, because if he didn't do that in the first half, I mean, that game's over. I mean, they were, as hard as they were playing defensively, they weren't making shots. They weren't getting consistent good looks. And Wilson was playing hero ball. And you saw it, I think, to your point, in the second half, he got a little inefficient. He was forcing it a little bit. But they kind of need him to. And, this team's evolving in real time. And by the time this goes out, they'll probably lose to Miami because that's just the way things work.
Oh, don't say that.
But it doesn't matter, right? They have plenty of quad one wins here now to be, they were in like the 6 seed range before. Well, now with the Virginia win, this win, they've got some other big games coming up. NC State, February 17th, Louisville, Clemson. So and Duke, they got some more quad one opportunities here, and I think they're going to win several of them. Do you want to touch on NC State a little bit before we get out of here?
Yeah, this was the part of the show where you were going to say, are we sleeping on NC State? And then the Wolfpack lose to Louisville, 118-77. Pat, I was watching the first half, and it was like, oh, well, they gave up 56 points in the first half. It's followed by an encore. They gave up, 62 points in the second half?
I mean,
it was just like between was it Michael Brown Jr. and Ryan Conwell for Louisville. Brown had 45 points.
Themselves.
Conwell had 31. Yeah,
that's 76 points if my math is correct.
Yeah,
yes, that's 76 points between the two of them. NC State had 77 people. Now with NC State, it's like they are literally like they're like the Boston Celtics. They are analytically based, not necessarily the Celtics this year, but how the Celtics have run themselves the last few years. Threes and defense. The threes go in, they defend well, they win. We've seen it. They have won prior to this game, like 6 in a row prior to that Georgia Tech loss. And this game, they were 4 of 22 from 3. Kadir Copeland, 10 points. Darian Williams, 8 points. Like, I haven't seen the Will Wade press conference. I haven't seen any clips circulating. I'm sure he just kind of humbly was like, wrote this one off because, like, you play like that, you have no chance.
There's only so many ways you can say when you give up 118 points at any level of basketball. Good luck.
And like Duke is the one that shut down Michael. Like they got Michael Brown on the good day, where like he I think had one field goal, like one made field goal.
They were saying on the broadcast he probably has an NBA future. So
oh yeah, he's a lottery pick.
Yeah.
Filibuster. I need water.
Got you, Pat. But yeah, NC State, we'll see if the Wolfpack can regroup playing on Monday night against Louisville. And again, I thought this was part of the show where we'd be like, hey, are we sleeping on NC State as they prepare for more of the blue bloods? And I mean, you talk about the different calibers of the ACC as well. It's like, the conversation we're having about Duke and UNC is they're on an entirely different level than NC State. And NC State's had a nice season. I mean, they've played well in the ACC, but we'll see after last night because it was like, okay, on the road against a ranked Louisville team, and it wasn't even close from the jump.
Their margin is just thinner. Like again, like they hadn't played a lot of the top teams in the ACC until recently, and then they get the win at Clemson, they get the win at SMU. Those are big quad one wins that kind of quieted that doubt. They're an analytics-based team. The analytics likes them. They're 27 in the net. They were ahead of Carolina in the net prior to the win over Duke. UNC leapfrogged them. Eye test, UNC to me is a cut above NC State. But if NC State plays their game the way they want to, they could beat UNC. They could beat Duke. If the threes go in and they defend, they could do it. I think the lack of a rim protector is an issue, but their positional length allows them to defend well.
Yeah.
And they've kind of slotted into identities, like Kadir Copeland as the main ball handler.
He's the Batman, I think, of the team, and he has a nice rapport with Van Allen Lubin. I think they're simpatico on the pick and roll, knowing where each other are going to be. I think Copeland does a really nice job of setting the big man up. Just for me, from what I've seen, Darian Williams, I just don't know where it's like, going into this past Saturday's game, he had 3 straight games of 20 points, and he only gets 4 in the win at home. And then quick turnaround, they play Louisville last night, and it was just like, it's hard for me to really critique last night. I mean, because State scored 77 points. I mean, it's
yeah.
But again, I look at defensively, it's like lack of rim protection. It's like that can't happen against the best of the best because. Again, like if you have 100 points in college basketball, Pat, you're not going to win very many games. So we'll see where they go from here.
Yeah, I mean, a few weeks ago they were in danger of missing the tournament the way things were trending. They have reversed that. Wade, to the words that he said at his press conference, we're going to be one of the top teams in the ACC. We're going to make the NCAA tournament. It's not going to take a whole lot of time. I think they're safe to do that. And like you said, you get in the tournament, anything can happen, and this is year one for them. So again, like I'm not going to like go all in on criticizing NC State right now. I think they are where they should be.
All right, Pat, let's wrap here. Any legendary road stories, dad stories?
Yeah.
I always like getting the pod here. Do you have anything to share here with the listeners and viewers of WRAL Triangle and 2?
Big dad weekend. Now, I worked the whole weekend. Now, for the viewers who don't know, like I have a daughter who's 8, I have a son who's 5, about to be 6, and I have a 1-year-old whose first words were football. So they are all in, and it's really cute to see them like grow up here in the Triangle. And you know they were watching the UNC Duke game for the first time, locked in. And you know, like I'm not a UNC, NC State, or Duke fan, but like I'm on the UNC beat primarily. Like growing up, I probably leaned UNC. So if anything, like my kids are probably going to root for UNC in the game.
Got you.
And they're locked in. They stayed up the whole time. My wife let them watch. My wife sent in pictures of Johnny just like locked in. And he got to see a buzzer beater, like core memory. Then they get the Super Bowl the next day. I come home last night. They're like, my daughter Emma comes in. She's like, Daddy, that game wasn't very good. And it got so bad.
What more needs to be said?
It got so bad. They were rooting for the Seahawks because I grew up in Pittsburgh. You know, they're not Patriots fans, but you know, we root for Drake May as the local guy. But we were rooting for. It was a Seahawks game. I might have had some money on the Seahawks as well. So it was a Seahawks family Super Bowl. It got so bad for the Patriots that they were rooting for the Patriots at the end because it was hard for them to watch a team fail every possession. So it's like interesting, like to see a kid observe like a bad game and see like, oh, this isn't fun to watch a team fail repeatedly over and over again. Did
you have a favorite commercial? I'd give you mine if you need a second to think.
Yeah, go first.
I absolutely loved the Bruce Arians tight ends get checked for prostate commercial. I thought it hit the right tone. I thought it was hilarious, but I also think it's a very important topic.
I'm almost 40.
It resonated with me because 3 of my 4 grandparents had some form of cancer. So it was like, it was brilliantly done. I rarely say anything is a 10 out of 10. That commercial was a 10 out of 10 in terms of all the different tight ends that they had, taking a comedic approach to a very serious issue. I have no notes. That was my favorite one. It's like, when I think back on that, it's like very positive message, very important message. That was my personal favorite.
And, you know, not to get political, I'm going to keep politics out of this. The halftime show, really interesting experience as somebody that has very limited Spanish, very limited exposure to Bad Bunny's music. Really cool to just kind of like let that wash over you as an English-speaking person and somebody that loves the language of film storytelling and try to like take away the message of what was being conveyed. And it was just a thrilling few minutes to kind of observe and let that kind of wash over it. I thought it was really cool.
Here's where I'm at with that too. It's like, have there been better halftime shows or worse halftime shows? Sure. We're still talking about it days later. So to me, it's like, was it effective? Was it entertaining? To me, the answer is yes, because we're still talking about it here days later.
And I think the political message that was sent wasn't on the nose. You know, like you watch the Grammys, and I think this is what turns a lot of people off from these conversations is like you come out and you just say this like kind of didactic statement in your speech, and people are like, who are you to say this? Do you even really know what you're talking about? And I understand that standpoint, and then it just turns off the dialogue. Well, like I think what Bad Bunny's Super Bowl halftime show is it opened a dialogue where it wasn't attacking necessarily another side. And if I haven't translated every line of the lyrics, but like it didn't seem to be something. It felt inclusive, you know, like it's like here's my culture, here's where I'm from. It's a celebration, and then it was fun too. And then you get like what was it, the Sharks with Katy Perry, and now we have the Grass People. You know, so we can even get that little fun thing to kind of hang our hat on. I think something everybody can enjoy.
Bad Bunny fan and WRAL Sports Pat Welter. I'm Mark Bergin. hopefully we taught you something about Duke UNC. Hope we entertained you. If you enjoyed this conversation, please do us a favor. Hit the like and subscribe button here on the WRAL YouTube page. And if you find WRAL Triangle 2 on Apple and Spotify, please leave us a 5-star review. Pat, as always, a pleasure, my friend.
I emptied the chamber today, so I'm out. I got nothing left, baby. Triangle 2, like and subscribe.
So long, everybody.